सुहृन्मित्रार्युदासीन मध्यस्थ बन्धुषु साधुष्वपि सुपाकेषु समबुद्धिर्विशिष्यते. That's where we are. So that's where we stopped. Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. You can come here. So, we are looking at verses 8 and 9. Jnana Vijnana Triptatma Kutasthaha Vijitendriyaha. First, let us revise what we have done in chapter 6. Is we are looking at particularly what is called, there are two kinds of sadhanas. All the sadhanas come under two. One is called Bahiranga sadhana, an outward facing sadhana, which means what? Karma yoga. Karma yoga is an example of Bahiranga sadhana. So, this is called Bahiranga sadhana because it is outward facing. Outward facing sadhana is called Bahiranga sadhana. Then there is Antaranga sadhana, inward facing, such as meditation, etc. That is inward facing sadhanas. So, which is more important? Both are equally important. You can't just have one thing. So, because we saw how, yesterday we saw how there is a withdrawal from the outer to the inner, signifying from the 5th to the 6th chapter. Because if I have to have a disposition of a sannyasi before I become a sannyasi, then a certain inward movement from engagement with people, situations, things, etc., a movement from the outer drama to inner Rama is warranted. Is warranted, definitely. So I have to leave that drama behind and have some space and time for myself. And then that too we saw yesterday. In the beginning that is very difficult, because in the beginning, faced with oneself, what does one feel like doing? Running away, because it is difficult. It is difficult to be with oneself. It is because all kinds of discomfort of not being able to be one with everything comes. And that discomfort is very difficult to overcome. And that's why we talked about the unconscious mind and the different ways to look at that, especially in verses 3 and 4 or 4 and 5, which is that Uddhared Atmanatmanam 5 and 6. In verses 5 and 6 we saw that how to self-soothe basically. Because for feeling soothed, one is immediately wanting 100 other people to be around one. But these are all self-soothe mechanisms, they are called, and one has to learn the self-soothe mechanisms in order to be inwardly mature. Let go of the props. And now the phala of that is immediately pointed out in these two verses. What is that? Samatvam. In fact, the jnani is the hallmark of a jnani is samatvam, equanimity. Equanimity, and for that what does one need to have? So the one whose mind is happy, triptatma, is happy knowing what with the knowledge of the self, meaning they are no longer looking to be entertained. The world is not a source of want or a source of lack. For such people, for the jnani, the world is not a source of want or lack. The world is simply there. One is not depending on the world for one's own entertainment. So jnana, vijnana, jnana, vijnana, when it comes together, vijnana means well assimilated knowledge. Jnana, words of the Shastra which have been understood. Vijnana, that which is assimilated and lived. And then kutasthaha, we saw like an anvil upon which metals are shaped. The cobbler shapes the shoe. All these things we saw. The anvil does not move. And then what else? So triptatma kutastha vijitendriya, the master of the senses, one who has self-mastery, not running around in search of things all the time, running from one place and one thing to another thing. So the one who has self-mastery, and then what happens? Then yuktaha, such a person is emotionally together, emotionally matured, iti uchyate. And who is this? Yogi. Lord Krishna uses yogi for karma yogi and jnani also. Here jnani is talked about. So, and who is this jnani? Samaloshtasma kanchanaha, for whom a clod of earth, and then what else? Iron, a piece of iron and a gold coin are all the same. Meaning objectivity. What are they? Just materials, minerals, metals, whatever they are. There is not some kind of an enhanced value for the gold and a little less value for the iron, and then zero value for the clump of earth. This is the thing. And here there is a lot of confusion, because there is a story, an ancient story which said that one Shishya, maybe he didn't have anything better to do. So what did he do? He took some gold coins and put it under the pillow of the Guru. Why, don't ask. He was testing the Guru. Is the Guru beyond gold? All right. And then he waited the next morning and said, Guru, how did you sleep? How did you sleep? And then Guru said, terrible night, awful. I have a pain in my head and a pain in my neck. And then he said, this is true Guru. See, he's allergic to gold. My Guru is this. Does it say anywhere in the Shastra Guru should be allergic to gold? But anyhow, this is what, that's not, it is what is that? The criteria for the Guru are Shrotriya and Brahmanishtha, not the one who is allergic to gold, okay? But this is crazy. We don't know why the Guru did not sleep well. Maybe all those gold coins were hurting the head and hurting the neck. Who knows? We don't know. But then this is like Shishya's lack of Vairagya here. He is trying to show off Guru's Vairagya. And also, does it really show Vairagya? Sometimes in their enthusiasm, the Shishyas will portray something which actually shows the Guru in a bad light. So if we were to take this literally, like, oh, he is allergic to gold, allergic means he can't handle gold at all, that means there will be so many metal things in his room. The bolt will be made of iron and the cot may also be made of iron, so many things are there. There is a plate, there is a dish, all that is made of steel, which is iron. And so if all those can be there, gold also can be there. They are all the same. So, but that means here that if one has an aversion to something, then also one is not beyond that. Whether it's aversion, here it's not talking of one who is averse. It's the one for whom it's all the same. Dispassionate. Dispassionate means has an objective understanding that all this is there. Yes, the gold coin is valuable because it buys things. That's about it. It doesn't have a shobhana adhyasa. An enhanced value for the gold is not given, and such a person is called samaloshtasmakanchanaha, which is the prasada of this inner work we saw yesterday. And then one more criteria is given in verse number 9. So the whole sentence is one compound, is one word. The first line is one word. So let us break it up. So hrit and then mitra. So hrit, mitra and then ari. Udasina, madhyastha, dveshya, bandhushu. This is the whole thing. So many words are there. We have to look at all of them. So hrit means what? A benefactor who does things without needing anything. So hrit. A well-wisher who is always ready to help but does not expect that in a similar circumstances you will be there to help. A very mature friend to all, Suhrit. Mitra, here is friend, just a friend where you have exchanges. You do this for me, I'll do this for you, this kind of an exchange. Udasina. Udasina means somebody to whom you are indifferent. This person you may have met at a cafe. They smiled, you also smiled, and they just asked, how are you? You also asked, how are you? Or some nodding acquaintance you met in the supermarket, or somebody you met on your walk. You know them, perhaps you even know where they live, but that's about it. You don't have any opinion of them either way. You neither cannot live without them, nor can you live with them, not like that. It is just a nodding acquaintance or an indifferent person, a casual person that you have just met. Then Ari, Suhrin Mitra Ari. Ari is there. Ari means somebody who is inimical to you. Udasina, Madhyastha. Madhyastha means the middle person. Arbitrator. Sometimes the two people are fighting, and then what does one have to do? Appoint somebody who can look at it dispassionately. So the Madhyastha must not take sides. Madhyastha must not say, you are wrong because you are born, and that's why you are wrong. The other person is my friend, therefore she or he is correct. No, that's not Madhyastha. Madhyastha means somebody who is dispassionate. Madhyastha, dveshya, and then people who invoke a certain dislike, dveshya, and bandhu. Bandhu means relative. So friend, relative, people who are inimical, people who invoke dislike, and well-wisher, and nodding acquaintances, and middle people. So with reference to all these people, one is dispassionate. And then some more people are there. Sadhushu, even with regard to a sadhu. And then papeshu. Papa means the person who is given to doing a lot of papa. So sadhushu and papeshu. And then what is that? The person is characterized by samabuddhi. Samabuddhi here means learning to separate the person from the behavior. The behavior is reprehensible. The behavior, there is no excuse. Maybe there is an explanation in terms of the person's background, but there is certainly no excusing the behavior. Everybody is responsible for their own actions, are they not? Yes. So you can't just sort of say, this person had a terrible background, Terrible background, that's why the person is given to stealing. So many people in the world have terrible backgrounds. Many people with terrible backgrounds become Mahatmas. So this is not an excuse. It is an explanation. Yes, given this background, the person has taken to a life of crime. This is an explanation. But it cannot be an excuse. So here, the one who has samabuddhihi vishishyate. Here it means that there is a way to separate the person from the behavior. What is the person? Brahman. Person is a manifestation of Bhagavan. Every person, regardless of whether they are a papi or a dveshya or a bandhu or a madhyastha or a sukhrit or mitra or udasina, all of these people, or a sadhu, they are all Ishvara. They are all manifestations of Ishvara. So one can reprimand the behavior, one can find the conduct not in keeping with dharma, and one can see that, but at the same time one can see the person as an incarnation of Bhagavan. Sometimes people are born just to take away other people's karmas. Yeah, that's the problem. That is the point of all the nocturnal ones. Naktancharaha, it says. People should be awake during the day, correct? And asleep at night. But some people were owls in their last life. So the circadian rhythm is based on the previous vasanas, and so they are up at night. Why? Because they can't sleep? No. They are up at night. Why? Because they want you to be sleeping. Why do they want me to be sleeping? Because they can then come into the house and then help themselves for a few things. This is what it is. So such people also, the person of knowledge sees, even though they may reprimand their behavior, even though they may say what you're doing is wrong and there are consequences, they don't club the behavior with the person. This is very, very important. This is what is called samabuddhihi vishishyate. In their treatment of all these people, they are not carried away. They don't have this what we like to call black and white thinking. Usually there is black and white thinking. This one is good, that one is bad, this one acceptable, that is not acceptable, this one sadhu, this one papi. We look at the world in terms of opposites. We have already painted the world. This is called black and white thinking, and it shows that there is a need for emotional growth. Children do this. Children are like this, all good or all bad, nothing in between. So if an adult also does that, that means there is more growth. There is some kind of an emotional stunting, and so there is more growth possible and more growth needed to get out of the black and white thinking, because that black and white thinking is very inimical to one's own preparation for this knowledge. So one grows out of the black and white thinking, because in any given situation there are always more than two options. That is a practical way to understand this. And then also furthermore, they are not, everything is, if we see everything as Brahman, then there is a difference between the person and the conduct. And we can say, yes, there is some background, or not even the background, there is some pressure being created because of which this kind of a conduct is happening. So this is the phala of the inward growth, and then from there we go to the next topic. The next topic is meditation. Finally, now that the mind has been prepared for meditation, the next verses, let's see, verse 10 to, I will point this out again at the end, verses 10 to 15 are about the nitty-gritty of the meditation. Okay. So, let us chant some of these verses. Yogi yunjita satatam Atmanam rahasi sthitah Ekaki yata chittatma Nirashira parigrahah. This is the mental framework of the person who is meditating. Here yogi can mean jnani, yogi can also mean what? Karma yogi. Both are possible here. So yunjita means may one meditate. Yunjita, join the mind with the total. May one meditate. And who is this person? The person is the one yata chittatma, means whose body, mind, sense complex is relaxed person. And then satatam yunjita, how long to meditate? Constantly meditate. You unite the mind with the object of meditation, and that will be told later. So may one constantly meditate where ekaki means remaining by oneself. You don't say remaining by oneself means not dependent on anybody else or anything else. Ekaki, alone. Even if we are meditating in a group, what are we doing? Alone. You are not entering into somebody else's mind. You are not entering into somebody else's frame of mind. You are doing your own meditation. The other person is doing their own meditation. In our tradition, the prayer is also like that. Everybody may be in a group, have gone to do darshan in a temple, but each one will be praying by oneself. This is the beauty of everything here. So ekaki means you don't, not like that person. The person who was the CEO of 2-3 companies, what happened to him? He was having lot of overwhelm and stress. He went to a wise person. And what did the wise person tell him? She told him, please, you need some solitude. That's why you're overwhelmed. That's why you're stressed. Oh, what should I do? What should I do? Just go have a good time. Just go somewhere, spend some time in solitude. What's that? Well, it is when you just go away by yourself and then you just sit, look at nature and just commune with nature, be there and do this. Okay. I will follow what you say. Then he goes off and then goes somewhere to some park, and then there is a waterfall. He enjoys seeing the waterfall, and then what else? Then he just sees the scenery is very breathtaking. He sits, he climbs a little hill, sits on the top and sees the view, and then checks whether there is a cell phone signal. Okay? Yeah. And he finds that there is a faint signal. Calls his wife. And what does he say? Honey, this solitude thing is wonderful, but it's missing you. Only thing is missing is you. If you were here, the solitude would be wonderful. So that is not ekaki. Okay? Ekaki here is really alone, and also it shows a lack of dependence on things. But the modern meditator is not like that. First, you have to have the right cushion. It is round and it is hard and everything. You have to go by the cushion. Yeah. Go across Janaki Jhula, take a left, there are some shops. And seeing that you want the cushion, the price will go up just for you. Okay? And then you buy the cushion. Then the seller is very clever. He is not just going to let you go away with the cushion. He says, no, see what all the Tibetan Rinpoches and all do? What do they do? Bell. Ding. You get the idea. Okay? It reverberates till the next century. That kind of a bell. All right. And then there should be a way of going, ee, like this you go, and then you make it keep on increasing the sound, keep on increasing the sound. Now where are you going to keep the bell? You can't keep it in your hand. You can't keep it in your hand and meditate. Okay, you are not the Buddha. And then what else? So where will you keep it? Then the seller will point to a small cushion, just like what you have, just purchased, same matching, same color, same kind. So for the bell also you need a cushion. I have never understood that. I don't think I'll ever understand that. Why the bell needs a cushion, I will never understand. Why can't you keep it on the floor or a piece of cloth? No, it has to have its own cushion. And then like this, by the time you're done, you're so harried that you don't feel like meditating at all after you have made all the purchases. And then there is a belt. I don't know what the purpose of the belt is. Maybe to tie you to the cushion so that you don't get up. But there is some belt. Some people use it. And then there is some kind of a thing. There is a block to put underneath, the yoga block to put underneath the knees. Because the person is not used to sitting on the floor and the legs are like airplane wings. Okay? So then they have to be brought down somehow. I suppose that's why the belt and the block are there. So by the time all these accoutrements, this is not ekaki. Okay? Ekaki means simply you just go sit. This is what it is. Ekaki. So we saw Yata Chittatma, composed, and then Ekaki, Yata Chittatma, Nirashihi. Nirashihi is very important here. Relatively free of longing. Nirashihi. Because if the longings are not dealt with in the preparation that we saw, then all the longings will only come. As soon as you sit, you will feel all the longings, the desires come up, and all the things I don't have come up also, all the lack comes up, and so therefore relatively free of longing if one is a karma yogi, and absolutely free of longing if one is a sannyasi. If one is a sannyasi, one is contemplating. If one is a karma yogi, one is meditating. And then aparigraha. Aparigraha means, this is a big thing in the Yoga Sutras. Aparigraha means the one who is not a hoarder, collector. Oh, but then if this is talking about a sannyasi, why should the sannyasi be told, don't be a collector? Because the collection might have dropped, but the longing to collect is there. Longing to collect may still not have dropped. So, that collection, keeping on collecting things. One or two things you have that you need. One thing you have, maybe one or two more spare things you have, but after that, there should be a stop. There should be a stop. Otherwise, what happens? The same thing will happen that happened to a sannyasi in Pujya Swamiji's time. His name was Dabba Sannyasi. Dabba means, you know what Dabba? Container. Container sannyasi. And so what would he do? He just collected containers. All kinds of containers. And then pretty soon people saw him sleeping outside of his hut. Why? Hut is full of containers, yeah. Hut itself is a container. That container is containing many more containers. And then he was always cold and feeling, chronic bronchitis had set in, lungs were shot, very bad shape. And Swamiji went to him and said, what's the problem? He thought maybe there's a leak inside, or rain is coming, water is coming, something is, draft is there, something is there. He said, we'll get it repaired for you. What is the problem? No, Maharaj, he said, there is lot of, what? Dabbas. What are you keeping the dabbas for? No, I'll need it one day. In fact, I don't need it, he said. I just give it to people. People come to me asking for dabbas. In fact, his place had become dabba central. Everybody coming and giving him dabbas and taking dabbas away from him. And then finally, when he passed away, it took a lot of time to clear the little place from all the dabbas. This is what is called parigraha, not aparigraha, parigraha. So parigraha here, very important, not clinging to things, not holding things. And then, so such a person is now the meditator. Then the next 3-4 verses, Shuchau deshe pratisthapya sthiramana samatmanaha natyuchritam nati nijam chailajina kushottaram tatraikagram manah kritva yatachittendriyah kriyah upavishyasane yunjat yogam atma vishuddhaye. This actually tells the nitty-gritty steps in the meditation. So first you arrange a seat. What is the seat? Literally it says chaila. Chaila means soft cloth, like an old cotton sari, soft cloth, muslin. Ajina, the skin of a naturally dead animal. Sometimes they use deer. Deer because it's very gentle, doesn't hurt anybody. And it has a sense of purity. It will not eat leftovers. So you open a banana and just give it to the deer, deer will eat it. And you open a banana, take a bite and give it to the deer, it will sniff at it and go away. This is how it is. It's very pure. And the deer does not have anger issues. And in ancient Ayurvedic medicine and Chinese medicine also, anger, the seat of anger is the gallbladder. And in fact, the deer does not have a gallbladder. So no anger issues. So therefore, to be calm, they use the deer skin, naturally dead animal, not something that has been killed for the purpose. So then, first, what is it said? Soft cloth. Then, what is that? Ajina, deer skin, and then kusha, a seat made of kusha grass. And then it says uttaram. Uttaram means in reverse order. So what do you put first? Kusha grass, over that skin, over that soft cloth. Now don't go after lunch to buy all these things, okay? Yeah. So you are fine where you are with the asanas that have been provided, all right? Yeah. You can add to that if you are uncomfortable or something, but there is no need. It is not set in stone. This is how the ancient people meditated. That's all. The kusha grass again is used for all the holy things, so there is a certain sacredness associated with it. It's used for rituals and everything. And then the soft cloth, because you can't sit on the skin directly, you can't sit on the kusha grass directly, it will prick and hurt, and so you'll be distracted, therefore it is said. So it says Shuchau deshe, in a clean place. What is a clean place? Clean place means not like I'm going to meditate in the garage. Many times people don't keep the car in the garage. Car is outside, especially in the West I have seen this, and the garage is full of dabbas, or whatever is the version of dabbas. It's filled with all kinds of things. Things you don't want, but things you still cannot get rid of. The home of those things is garage. Maybe a little place is there in the center. Will you go keep your cushion and your meditation bowl and the meditation bowl's cushion over there? No. If you meditate there, what will happen? Anger will come. That's why. So Shuchau deshe means free of clutter. And then this one says, Adi Shankara in the commentary says, it should be in a place which is what? Which is well aerated, like riverside, mountainside, etc. But then don't be in a hurry to book your ticket to Uttarakashi and some Swiss Alps and all these other places, because that's not necessary. If somebody is not near the riverside or the ocean side or the mountain side, doesn't matter. To sit on a flat land is perfectly admissible. But it should be a pleasant place, free of distractions. That is what it means by Shuchau deshe pratisthapya. Pratisthapya means having set the asana and everything. And who is this person? the Sthiramanasah. Sthiramanasah means the one whose mind is one-pointed mind. One-pointed mind, the one who has a one-pointed mind. One more thing is given, na ati uchritam, na ati neecham. The place of meditation must not be too high. Like I'm sitting on some kind of an edge of a cliff. Why? Because after the meditation I'm going to take an amazing selfie. So I'm going to sit there, meditate first because it's so beautiful, and then I'm going to say click, me meditating with one hand, click. So many people have fallen after climbing on these big things, after climbing and sitting there, perching there, because already meditation means letting go of control. You have to sit and then what happens? There is fear of falling in any case, even if you're sitting on flat place. That's why we say clasp your hands with the thumbs touching, because then the fear of falling is not there. So you're letting go, so the body is not in your control, you're unmindful of the body-mind sense complex, and so therefore what? The fear of falling is there, and if you're sitting on a cliff side, what will happen? You will not be able to meditate at all. Na ati neecham means like underground cave, I'm going to sit and meditate. Then what will happen? You will only be, what will you be meditating upon? Scorpions, crabs, cockroaches. That's what you will be meditating upon. All kinds of creepy crawlies, which for whom the cave is their ancestral property. That's where their grandfather, great-grandfather, grandmother, great-grandmother, everybody was born there. This is their ancestral property. And suddenly you go there to meditate, they look at you as an intruder. And then certain animals, I said, their whole life is just what shall I bite next. That's all their whole life is all about. What shall I bite now? What shall I bite next? That's all it is. And so therefore, na ati neecham, not too below, underground don't go, and don't go somewhere on a cliff, because the fear of falling is there, and that itself becomes a very big distraction. And then what? Ekagram manah kritva. So the one who has mastered the mind, yata chittendriya kriyaha, the one with the mastery of mind, makes the mind single pointed. And then what does one do? Sit to practice the meditation. For what? For there is a purpose. Atma vishuddhaye. Very important. Atma here is not Atma. What is Atma? In antahkarana. So, for the antahkarana shuddhi, there is two kinds of sadhanas, antaranga sadhana, bahiranga sadhana, one of which we saw. Yoginaha, in the 5th chapter, yoginaha karma kurvanti sangam tyaktva atma shuddhaye. Here also same thing. All the yogis, what are they doing? They are sitting in meditation for the same antahkarana shuddhi. The purification of the mind, the freedom of the mind from raga and dvesha, strong preferences, strong prejudices, the mind is freed of. This is the reason for both karma yoga and dhyana yoga. So this is, dhyana yoga also gives, in addition, chitta naishchalyam, one-pointedness of the mind, so that in the non-meditative state, when I become an adept meditator, the difference between the meditative state and the non-meditative state is very minimal. Now what is there? Now one is waiting. Is there 7:30? Is it 7:30? Is it 7:30? Let me look. Is it 7:30? Oh, not yet. Oh my God, 10 more minutes. OMG. And as soon as it's 7:30, thank God. Now the mind, which felt like it was in jail, half an hour the mind was in a stupid jail. a jail of Om Namah Shivaya. It was in a jail whose bars of the cage were what? Om Namah Shivaya. Whose shackles were Om Namah Shivaya. And now it is free. Now I am not in the Om Namah Shivaya mode. I am in my regular mode. The mind is free. Free enough to do what? Cause trouble. That's all. Free enough to make you sad. That's what the mind is. Very free to make you really, really sad in 2 minutes. And so the mind feels free. It frog leaps from one thought to another thought, and that is supposed to be the freedom of the mind. This is what is called the non-meditative state. In the meditative state, I compose everything. I am good, and good means what? I am concentrating, I am focusing, I am in the Om Namah Shivaya mode. Now, with an adept practice at this, and an adept meditator, for an adept meditator, the non-meditating mode, between the non-meditating mode and the meditating mode, there is not that much difference. Why? Is the mind not in jail? No. Why? The mind, the prasada of meditation is a disciplined mind over which you have a say. Over whose ways you have a say. Usually what? The mind has a say over you. The mind says, I'm angry. I'm angry means what? So then the whole of you also becomes angry just because the mind is angry. It forces you to participate. It hijacks you. Who knows? I am not this. I am not the mind, In the best time of your life, that in the best times of your life. But at this moment, what happens? You have become hijacked by this. You have become hijacked. And so therefore, the prasada of meditation is that because of which you have a say over the ways of the mind. How is this accomplished? By creating what is called sajatiya vritti pravaha. Sajatiya pratyaya pravaha. Pravaha flow. Sajatiya similar kind of thought pattern. Vritti. Similar thought patterns or the same thought patterns is given to the mind as a mental gymnastics. So if you go to the gym, you don't say, I don't want to do the same machine. I don't want to do the same weights. What is this, What is this? This is boring. You don't say, because you have a value for that. The body is going to be toned. It's going to help with the balance. It's going to help with everything. So weight-bearing exercises are important. You know that. And so in the same way here, this is the mind gym. In the mind gym, the mind which is swinging from nerve to nerve is told to sit down quietly and is told to just repeat one mantra, just for the sake of discipline. Om Ishaya Namaha, Om Namah Shivaya, whatever the mantra is. Om Namaha, enough. So whatever the mantra is, that should be your first thought. What is your first thought? Mantra. And what is the second thought? Same mantra. What is the third thought? Same mantra. Fourth thought, fifth thought, sixth thought, same mantra. Of course the mind will complain, no, I want to think of other things. I'm in a cage, I'm in prison. You have put me in prison. I want this, I don't want this. No, say the same mantra. And just like when you go to the gym one day and then you check for muscles, are they there? No. You go 3 days, are they there? No. After 1 month, one small baby muscle will come. Okay? Yeah. So it has to be done for a length of time. Same thing with meditation also. With meditation, the mind gets quietened after a certain amount of practice. Not suddenly overnight, it doesn't happen. So therefore patience is required, and he says, Lord Krishna is very diplomatic. When will I get there? Very soon. Not too late, very soon. because everybody's pace is different, so he is very diplomatic. Then yunjita means may yunjyat, may one meditate. Why? Atma shuddhaye, for self purification. Then again, this we know very well. Samam kaya shirogrivam dharayan achalam sthiraha samprekshanasikagram swam dishascha anavalokayan prashantatma vigatadhihi brahmachari vrate sthitah manas sanyamya macchittah yukta asita matparaha. And so, again, holding oneself, see, there should be no movement. And also the head, when you start saying the mantra, the head goes down. That's why we say the head, neck and back should be in a single line. There is some kind of a flow. One is in the flow of the universe, so there is a certain flow. That's why it is said to be like this. And so, samam kaya shiro grivam, head, neck and back in a single straight line. And then what? Sampreksha nasikagram swam. The gaze is as though fixed on the tip of the nose. This doesn't mean that I sit cross-eyed for meditation all the time. No, meaning dishascha anavalokayan. The eyeballs are not restless looking here, there, everywhere. And then prashantatma, the one who is already relatively quiet, whose clamor for things, situations, experiences, people are not there. One who is already, whose mind is relatively tranquil. Then vigata bhihi. Vigata bhihi means free from fear. What is this thing about being free from fear? Let us look at this. Freedom from fear, again relatively. Because otherwise, if you sit down for meditation and a lot of anxiety comes up, that has to be taken care of beforehand with the help of mantra, with the help of all kinds of other things, whatever one can have. Surrendering to Bhagavan, puja, mantra, all this helps the mind to be free of fear if there is any anxiety that's taken care of. And then brahmachari vrate sthitah. Brahmachari means the one who is committed to Brahman. Brahmani charitum Sheelam asya asti iti brahmacharin. The one who is moving around only in Brahman, whose commitment is to Brahman, whose primary commitment is to Brahman. Such a person, for such a person, again it's easy to meditate because one is knowing why I am doing this. Because otherwise there's all kinds of meditations. Without any purpose, people do some meditation. Purpose is there, but it's not the same as the purpose in Vedanta. The purpose of meditation in Vedanta is to prepare to know yourself by calming the mind and freeing it of raga dveshas and making it steady. But in other places they say meditate for wealth, and then they will teach you a technique. And then they will say meditate for long life, meditate for tranquility, meditate for this, that, and then they'll teach you a technique. For us, meditation is not a technique. It is in fact your own reality, and which you can make into a lifestyle. That's why it says brahmachari vrate sthitah, the one who is committed to Brahman, meaning what? The meditative and the non-meditative states are not very different. The lifestyle that is being led to do this is what is important, is similar to the lifestyle in the meditation. And then a quiet lifestyle. And then manas sanyamya, composing the mind. Composing the mind, macchittah yuktah asita, may one sit down. How? Matparaha. This is very interesting because this is the first time it has come, but everywhere also Bhagavan speaks in the first person to make the teaching much more personalized and intimate. Lord Krishna speaks in the first person here. Lord Krishna means who? The avatara here. Bhagavan in the form of the avatara speaks to Arjuna and by extension to anybody who is studying the Gita in the first person. So we saw in the last chapter, Tadbuddhayah tadatmanah tannishtaha tatparayanaha. Which verse was that? 5th chapter. Tadbuddhayastadaatmanah tannishta tatparayanaha. 17th verse, yeah. So here that tat is Brahman, that tat has been converted to mat. Very interesting. Matchittaha, matparayanaha, madbuddhayaha, madatmanaha. We can say it like that. It is actually very interesting. Tat means remote. Somewhere far away, this Brahman, that Brahman somewhere, which I am yet to know. And here it is what? Matchittaha. Chittam is the attention here. Not memory, attention. The mind. So the mind is dedicated unto me. Who is this me? That means I should meditate only on Krishna as some Lord, wearing yellow, and then what? What is this? Sporting a feather of the peacock and flute in hand. Am I going to meditate on that? No. That's not the idea. Matchittaha means, even though it says the one whose heart is given to me, it's like understanding that the truth of myself is Ishvara. Whenever Lord Krishna says aham mama mat, it's not Lord Krishna talking, it is the Vedantic revelation of Ishvara as oneself. So matchittaha, madgata pranaha, all this means what? They are the one whose focus is on understanding me as non-separate from oneself. That is what it is. Me, who is this me? Satchidananda Swarupaha. This Satchidananda Swarupa, the one who wants to understand that this Ishvara is also Satchidananda Swarupa, and me, this what I thought was a lowly jiva filled with self-loath is what? Satchidananda Swarupa, and therefore I can boldly say I am non-separate from Paramatma. And so this is the one, manas sanyamya matchittaha. Matchittaha and matparaha. Two things are there. Matparaha means for whom this discovery of oneself as Ishvara is the ultimate goal. Matparaha. So then further, then from verses 16, verse 15 is the phala of meditation. Then what happens? Then the person who has mental mastery gains a peace which is centered on understanding oneself as Satchidananda. Satchidanandam Brahma, Jagat Karanam, non-separate from Jagat Karanam Brahma, non-separate from Ishvara. And then that peace is something which is the result of the absorption in the object of meditation, which is oneself as Ishvara. And so this is the phala. And then for the yogi, from verses 16 to 18, certain things, certain advice is given. Let us chant. Natyatnashtastu yogosti, natyashnatastu yogosti, nachaikantamanashnataha, nachati swapnashilasya, jagrato naiva charjuna, yuktahara viharasya, yuktacheshtasya karmasu, yuktasvapnavabodhasya, yogo bhavati dukkhaha. Yada viniyatam chittam atmanyevavatisthate nisprihas sarvakamebhyah yukta ityuchyate tada. यथा दीपो निवातस्थः नेङ्गते सोपमा स्मृता योगिनो यतचित्तस्य युञ्जतो योगमात्मनः. So, then one can get carried away with this pursuit, with this, not with a pursuit, but with a lifestyle that is given for this pursuit. This is another prasada, so to speak, of black and white thinking. I'm going to be the best sadhaka ever. How are you going to do that? I'm going to meditate for 15 hours a day. And then what are you going to do? I'm going to not eat at all. Why? Because an empty stomach is good for meditation, because it says don't eat a lot before meditation. Why? What will come instead of meditation? Sleep. So therefore what will I do? I'll stop eating completely. I'll stop eating completely. I'll stop sleeping completely. I'll stop everything, and I will just be the best Vedanta student ever, and I will stop all other activities. This will not work. This is one type of person. Another type of person says, what? Mental tranquility is overrated. And even though the people say, oh, they feel very calm and tranquil, you can easily just poke them and make them angry. What is the use? What shall I do? Nothing. And what is the connection between eating and meditation? Sleep also is same as meditation. So I'll eat and go to sleep. This is the other extreme. The one who says, I want to work hard, I have to get this, I have to really get this. The perfectionist. And what else? What else is on the other side? The tamasic person. Both are what? Opposites. And here in these set of verses, especially the first two, a middle path is advised. So what is told is, na ati ashnataha yogaha asti. So this yogaha here is meditation. So the meditation is not for the one who is the overeater. Ati ashnataha, overeater. How do I know I am an overeater? Because we have to follow the Ayurvedic prescription. Ashanena ardham purayet. You fill half of the stomach with food. What? Only half? How is that? How to survive? But that's how it is. Fill half the stomach with food. How do I know the size of my stomach? One day fill it up completely and keep a count of how many chapatis and how much rice you ate. All right. And then the next day eat half. That's what it is. So fill up half the stomach with food, and then how much is left there? Half. And out of that, 1/4 with water. And then what should be the other quarter? Leave it empty. Why? Imagine a washing machine. If you just stuff the clothes, there is no place for it to just agitate and for it to clean. Similarly, Samanavayu, for the digestive fire, Samanavayu, Vaishwanaragni. So for the digestive fire, the food needs to be moved around. And so therefore, little bit of water, half the stomach with food, and the other quarter you have to leave empty. This is how we should eat. That is the advice. So, na ati ashnataha yogaha asti. Na cha ekantam anashnataha. Ekantam anashnataha means the person who is always doing some vrata or the other vrata. No, now, today I won't eat. Why? It's Friday. Oh, but yesterday you didn't eat. That's because it was Thursday. And then tomorrow I can't eat. Why? It's Saturday. So like this, the whole point is not to starve oneself. This is something which even the Buddha taught. Buddha also taught the path of moderation. because he had experienced everything. In the forest, he studied with some gurus who said stop eating completely. And then he soon became a skeleton. There are some photos, not photos, but like vigrahas I have seen. Buddha as a skeleton. And then after that he said he was always thinking of food and feeling emaciated and weak. He said this is not the way to meditate. For meditation, the stomach has to be comfortably full, not uncomfortably full. So eating too much is not conducive for meditation. Eating too little also not conducive for a meditative mind or for the meditation itself. And then therefore what? Therefore then Swapnashilaha means sleeper. The one who sleeps too much also is not conducive to meditation, because it shows a certain tamas. Or there is a sleep deprivation. So if there is sleep deprivation, it has to be corrected. And so if there is tamas, that also has to be corrected by eating the right foods and everything. That's why we avoid, what are those things called? Garlic and onions. They are rajasic and tamasic foods. So garlic especially, what happens is, see, it is the blood of Rahu Ketu, this garlic. Yeah. So what happened is that when the ocean the ocean was churned, there is a whole story called Samudra Manthanam. The ocean was churned, and this is all metaphorical, very beautiful story. You forget the 6th chapter, we'll come back. And then this is very nice, very pertinent also. So there is a beautiful story that the churning of the ocean, they were told, the Devas and the Asuras were told that the churning of the ocean is going to yield great treasures, because at the bottom of the ocean there are treasures. Devas can't do it by themselves. So they made temporarily friends with the Asuras. And the Asuras who like to grab, they said yes. Devas were interested only in Amritam. Amritam is the knowledge of immortality, which was also apparently at the bottom of the ocean. More about the symbology later, first listen to the story. So then what happened? They have to find, so to churn your little butter, you need one churning rod in your home. But to churn the entire ocean, what? Then they said, let's pluck off a mountain. The big mountain became the churning rod. But then you also need a churning rope. There was one poor python lying there just like that, whose name was Vasuki. Vasuki made 2.5 coils, and still there was enough to hold and churn. Poor snake, really. Poor python. And then what happened? The Devas tricked the Asuras. They said, who is brave enough to hold Vasuki near the head? They said, we, okay, go. So Devas were at the mouth of the snake, and then the Asuras were at the tail. Not that the tail was a nice place to be, because it was in agony, it was slashing the tail, it was doing like this everywhere, and then few Devas would fall off, fadar, and they had to be revived and got up. And over here it was not much better, because each time it breathed out, it was such toxic air that 3-4 Asuras fainted, and they had to be revived with a wet hanky. And like this the churning was going on, and a few gifts were spit out of the ocean. This Airavata came, one white elephant came, and then the Indra claimed it. Indra said, I'll take it. Lakshmi came, so many things came, and then finally, first the poison came. Hala came, collective unconscious, that's what it is. And Lord Shiva neutralized it, on the evening of Dvadashi, on top of which Trayodashi was coming. That's why it's called Pradosha. Dosha means evening. And here Pradosha means a special evening where the papas were neutralized. Very beautiful. That's why we have every 15 days Pradosha celebration at all the Shiva temples. So then all this was happening. Then finally the Amrita came. Dhanvantari, the Bhagavan of healing, brought this, and then what? Then the churning was abandoned because all the things was done. And then after that, all the devas sat down and said, okay, we are going to have Amrita. The asuras said, we wanted to, we have also worked hard, we want Amrita. But they were not ready for it. No adhikaritvam. So what happened? So this one, there was a decoy pot that looked just like that, and then Vishnu adopted the dress of a heavenly nymph called Mohini, she who deludes. And she said, come along boys, come behind me. and she just swayed her hips and walked, and they were all like, ooh, yes, anything you say, madam, here we are. And they all went behind her except one fellow. His name was Swabhanu. Swabhanu means Svaprakasha Atma. Didn't deserve the name. That's why it was changed later on. So Swabhanu, the asura, he just changed his unkempt look and pretended to look very civilized, wore a disguise of a deva and sat there quietly till his turn came. Mohini distracted them and took them all away. This fellow sneaked in and sat there. And then what? Everything was distributed. He also got a little bit. He drank a sip, and then what? He was outed. Vishnu, Mohini now came back as Vishnu, and Vishnu was said, no, 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 no. But it was too late. He already drank. And then so what? He cut off his head with Sudarshana Chakra, and because he had already drunk the potion of immortality, so one part became Rahu, the head, and the other part became Ketu, two malefic shadow planets who trouble in the horror scope, okay, who give lot of trouble. This is Rahu and Ketu. But coming back to our garlic, so where the yeah, I haven't forgotten, okay. So then the blood, when he was decapitated, few drops of blood fell on the ground and garlic plants sprouted. Do you want to eat garlic now? No. That's why we don't eat, because we'll behave like Rahu or Swabhanu before he became two Rahu Ketu. This is also very symbolic, because the head has nothing to do with the body. The thoughts are somewhere, it's just taken off. The body is somewhere, tail is somewhere, head is somewhere. No coordination, no arjava, no coordination between speech, thinking, action, nothing. Disconnected. A sense of disconnection is the asura here. There is no connection. And each one is like a shadow. The shadow of the person. Very beautiful. And then the whole churning, the ocean is the unconscious mind, is the mind. And all the objects of desire are exactly that. They are all objects of desire. Whatever one desires is there. And ultimately what one wants is the knowledge that frees, which is very much at the bottom. But at the top, what is there? The unconscious. It is the visha. It is all the collective pain, sorrows of humankind, which Lord Shiva neutralizes. By just, he doesn't drink it, he drinks it, but then the story is that the consort of Shiva, Goddess Parvati, holds his neck so that it just gets right there, meaning it gets arrested there, it's neutralized, that's what it means. Shiva, because of his Shakti, neutralizes this so that we have a chance to overcome the unconscious mind. That's why we go to the Pradosha Puja to pray for that. That is why people do that. Very beautiful it is. And then so this whole ocean churning, all these things, they're all very, very metaphorical for self-growth. Now back to Bhagavad Gita. Let us see then. So, na ati ashnataha yogaha asti. So it's not even the one who is eating too much, but also eating the right things. Nacha ati swapnashilasya. Not for the one who is sleeping a lot, and not for the one who is awake all the time. There is no pressure and striving. The one who is free of striving to go to each extreme. And then in this first verse, in the first verse here, we saw that it is not good to eat too much or too little. Here what is there? What to eat is given here. Yuktahara viharasya. Yukta means what is proper. What is proper, what is moderate, and vihara, yukta in form of eating, and then ahara, and yukta in with regard to vihara. What is vihara? Any kind of activities. Yukta cheshtasya. Cheshta also means activity. Means here, cheshta can mean one's expressions. Like talking with your hands too much. For some people it's a culture. In certain European countries, people talk with their hands. But then here it is more like unnecessary movement is avoided. Because how it is without, how I compose myself and hold myself without, that's what is also within. So if I want to have good meditations, this is a nice invitation to slow down and be very mindful of my movements. In Zen Buddhism, they really highlight this. So let's say there is a terrible noise here, okay? And the Zen master will look slowly, mindfully, slowly. Half an hour later, they will see what went on over there. So something, it's really something. So that kind of a mindfulness may be too much to think about, but at least not being so like Rahu Ketu, disconnected from oneself, and embodying the body. The body is an important, it's called moksha ayatanam. It's a vehicle for moksha. So embodying the body means actually learning to live in the body, live in the mind, and mindful movements. Yukta hara, yukta vihara, yukta cheshta in all activities. Yukta swapnavabodhasya, and mindfulness in sleeping, eating, etc. What happens? Then for such people, yoga means meditation, bhavati dukkhaha. If you are ready for meditation and if you prepare your mind in this way, the meditation becomes the killer of sorrow. No matter what, you don't get sad. On this happy note, we will leave today. We'll pick it up again tomorrow. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.